Once upon a time, nestled among emerald green hills and endless fields of lavender, there lived a young girl named Fiore. Her home was a humble clay cottage at the edge of the village, surrounded by wildflowers and whispering wind chimes that her late grandmother had made. Fiore was different from the other children in the village. While they played in the fields or helped with chores, Fiore would sit for hours under the banyan tree, her gaze fixed on the sky, her fingers wrapped around a paintbrush. It was no ordinary brush. It had a handle carved from moonstone and bristles that shimmered in sunlight. Her grandmother had gifted it to her on her 12th birthday. This brush, the old woman whispered, her eyes twinkling, was kissed by moonlight and dipped in stardust. If you paint with a true heart, it will give your art the breath of life. Fiore didn't understand what that meant back then, but she knew that when she painted with it, her soul felt lighter, and the world around her seemed to hum with quiet magic. One evening, just as twilight painted the skies in violet and gold, Fiore sat beneath the tree with her brush and canvas. She painted something unusual, something that came not from memory or landscape, but from her heart. A young man with deep, soulful eyes, soft waves of dark hair, and a smile that warmed her chest.
She didn't know who he was.
She only knew he had visited her dreams for as long as she could remember. As she finished the last stroke of his eyes, the wind shifted. The brush trembled in her hand. And then the painting blinked. Fiore stumbled back, nearly dropping her canvas. The painting shimmered, golden light dancing along the edges of the paper. Her heart pounded. The young man in the painting stood up and stepped out of the canvas, his bare feet touching the grass. He looked around in awe. "Where am I?" he asked, his voice like a song half remembered. Fiore stared. "I painted you. You came from this." The man turned and saw his image still glowing on the canvas. He touched his chest, confused but calm. "You called me," he said.
"I am Elon."
"I was trapped in a realm beyond time by a sorceress. Only a brush made of moonstone and a heart of pure love could bring me back." Fiore's mind raced.
The brush.
Her grandmother's words. The dreams. Everything was real. They talked long into the night. Elon told her of the realm where he had been frozen, caught between moments. He was once a prince, cursed for protecting a kingdom that no longer existed. And now, the sorceress who imprisoned him would know he had escaped. "We must go," he said, "before she finds us. There is a temple, the Temple of Strokes, where the brush was born. Only there can the magic be balanced again." Fiore, terrified but entranced, nodded. She would go. Fiore and Elon left at dawn, traveling through meadows that sparkled with dew and woods where the trees whispered ancient secrets. They entered the forest of forgotten colors, a place where magic had once danced freely, but now lay still and gray. No color lived there. The trees were ash, the sky pale, the flowers dull. Long ago, Elon said, this forest was the cradle of color. But when the sorceress stole the sacred brush's twin, she drained it of its soul. As they ventured deeper, they met a tiny, sharp-eyed creature with fur like soot and a tail like a paintbrush. His name was Nib, and he had once served the painters of old. "You carry the star brush," he squeaked, eyeing Fiore's hand. "It only awakens for those with true hearts." Nib led them to a clearing of stone where the wind no longer blew. Fiore stood in the center, closed her eyes, and painted a single rose in the air. The rose bloomed from the ground, crimson and alive. Colors spilled back into the forest. Trees glowed green, skies turned blue, and birds began to sing. "You are more than a painter," Elon whispered. "You are magic." That night, as they camped near the Whispering River, the sky darkened. Shadows lengthened unnaturally. The sorceress had found them. She appeared in a spiral of smoke, her eyes black as night, and lips twisted in a cruel smile.
"Ah, Elon."
"My sleeping prince." and the girl with the heart-stroked brush. Fiore stood, trembling but firm. "You can't take him." The sorceress laughed. "I can take whatever I want." With a flick of her hand, she sent a swarm of shadow birds toward them. Fiore lifted the brush and painted a golden dome of light around her and Elon. The birds shattered against it. "I underestimated you," the sorceress hissed. "But you are not ready." She vanished into mist. Elon touched Fari's shoulder. "We must reach the temple. Soon." They arrived 3 days later at dawn. The temple rose above the clouds, carved from marble and light. Pillars soared like tree trunks, each etched with the paintings of ancient artists. At its heart was a chamber with a single, endless canvas, the canvas of truth. "The final test," Nib said. "Paint what lives in your heart. Only truth can banish the false magic." Fiore stood before the canvas. She painted her grandmother's hands, the village where she was born, her dreams of Elon, the way he looked at her, the ache of love unspoken. With each stroke, her soul poured into the painting. The moment she painted a golden heart that bound her and Elon together, the canvas glowed and exploded with color and light. The sorceress appeared, screaming, but the light wrapped around her like a cocoon. Her twisted magic began to melt away. She fell to her knees, crying. "I loved once too," she whispered, "but he never returned." Fiore stepped forward and touched her shoulder. Then pain again. Peace returned. The forest sang. The temple gates opened for all. Fiore and Elon returned to her village, where stories of her journey became legend. They built a studio beside the banyan tree. Children came to learn. Villagers brought their memories to be painted. One day, Elon knelt by her easel. "Will you paint our life together?" he asked. Fiore smiled. She dipped her brush in stardust and began.